For years, you know that feeling? Asking Siri a complex question and just hitting a wall. Well, that's all about to change, and the solution is coming from probably the last place you'd ever expect. Apple is giving Siri a brain transplant, and the donor is its biggest rival, Google.
This is a huge deal, and it basically reshapes the entire AI landscape. So you gotta ask, why would Apple, a company famous for its walled garden, for doing everything itself, turn to Google to power the future of Siri? Well, the answer is that we're in a whole new kind of arms race.
For the last, 2 decades, the internet has run on keywords. We type something into a search box, we get a list of blue links. Simple. But that whole era is coming to a close. The new battleground isn't about finding links. It's about AI assistants that actually understand context, that can have a conversation, and that give you direct answers.
And wow, this chart really says it all. In this new world of AI search, OpenAI's ChatGPT isn't just winning, it's completely dominating with over 80% of the market. And Google, the undisputed king of traditional search, they are a tiny player here with just over 5%.
And that's the absolute crucial point here. Google's 90-something% dominance in the old search world just doesn't translate to this new game. And in this new reality, Apple was getting left even further in the dust.
I mean, the public frustration has been real. We've all felt it. For years, Siri has felt like it's stuck in a time capsule from 2011 while everyone else just lapped it. And this comment from a Reddit user pretty much nails that feeling, that Apple was just fumbling the ball on the future. So what's their big plan to fix it?
Well, instead of spending years trying to build a competitive AI from scratch and falling even more behind, Apple is taking a really pragmatic shortcut. They're giving Siri a brand new brain, one powered by a very unlikely partner, so they can basically leapfrog into the modern AI era.
So let's just look at the difference. We all know Siri today. You ask a question, and 9 times out of 10, you get that classic line, "I found this on the web." But Siri tomorrow is a completely different animal. We are talking about rich, conversational answers that can combine text, images, maybe even video. And this is the big one. It will actually understand what's on your screen.
The internal name for this whole project is World Knowledge Answers, and that name tells you everything you need to know. Apple is shifting Siri from being a voice assistant to being a full-on answer engine. The point isn't to find websites for you anymore, it's to find the actual answer for you.
And man, it has been a long road. I mean, can you believe Siri first launched way back in 2011? So after all those years of falling behind, this new partnership is now official, and we can expect to see it go live as early as March 2026 with an iOS update.
Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. How does this whole new system actually work under the hood? Well, Apple's building a pretty sophisticated 3-part system that blends its own technology with Google's.
It works kind of like this. First, a piece called the planner figures out what you're really asking. Then, the search layer goes and grabs info from 2 places, the web using Google's Gemini AI and your own device for personal stuff. And finally, the summarizer, also powered by Gemini, takes all that info and boils it down into one single, coherent answer for you.
Now, here's the really classic Apple part of this whole thing, the privacy angle. They're drawing a very clear line. Anything personal, your contacts, your calendars, your messages, that's all handled by Apple's own AI right there on your device. Only the general web questions get sent out to Google's Gemini, and even then, it runs through Apple's own secure servers. It's like a hybrid brain, designed for both power and privacy.
And the result of all this is an experience that's so much more than just a voice talking to you. The new Siri is going to be multimodal. That's just a fancy way of saying it'll give you answers that mix text, photos, maybe a map, maybe a short video, all in one useful package. It's a total overhaul of how you'll interact with it.
So this brings us back to the big question. Why would these 2 massive rivals ever team up like this? Well, this isn't about friendship. It's a marriage of convenience, and it's built on a mountain of cash and just plain old mutual need.
And it really all starts right here, with this number, $20 billion a year. That is what Google already pays Apple just to be the default search engine in the Safari browser. Their finances have been tangled up for a very long time. This new AI deal is just the next chapter.
But get this, here's the plot twist. Google wasn't even Apple's first choice. Reports are saying that in early tests, another AI company, Anthropic, and their model Claude, actually performed better.
But Anthropic wanted a pretty steep price, over $1.5 billion a year. And that's the real kicker. At the end of the day, Google got the deal not because it had the superior tech, but because it had the superior financials. They were able to use that massive existing $20 billion relationship to make Apple an offer it just couldn't refuse.
And you know, as analysts like Justin Post are pointing out, it just makes perfect business sense. Nobody on Earth is better at making money from search than Google. For both companies, teaming up like this is the most logical way to squeeze every drop of revenue out of this new AI wave.
Okay, so let's pull back from the boardroom deals and the technical stuff. What does all this actually mean for you holding your iPhone and for the future of the entire tech industry?
Here's the cheat sheet. 1. You're getting a much smarter Siri that gives you real answers. 2. Siri will finally have context, it'll know what's on your screen. 3. Apple is making a huge promise about privacy, saying your personal stuff stays on your device. And 4. This deal officially turns the AI race into a battle of the titans.
Yeah, the AI landscape is no longer a free-for-all. It's consolidating into two massive power blocks. You've got the Apple-Google alliance over here and the OpenAI-Microsoft partnership over there. Everyone else, from Amazon to cool startups like Perplexity, now has to figure out how to compete against these two behemoths. Which leaves us with one final, fascinating thought. For years, Apple built its entire brand on doing everything in-house, on owning the whole experience from top to bottom. Now the actual brain of its AI assistant is going to be powered by its #1 competitor. It's a pragmatic, maybe even brilliant move, but it does raise a pretty interesting question for the future. When you ask your iPhone a question, whose answer are you really getting?